You were at work yesterday, got fired. He didn't show up. My group started out five. And then maybe at three because we needed to go vacation. When I got there, it sucked. That's the one in Highland. It started with H.
Hi guys. Hello.
I have to leave at 1:20 for volleyball. You should have got the email from her, I don't know. But that's just where our message is.
Yeah. Hello. Okay, let me I'm gonna minimize you guys and I'm gonna check roll, okay? As you can see, I'm back at school, so just hold on a second. Okay. What's that? Okay, let's see. Okay, so let me check roll.
Zayden got fired, but since he didn't show up for work, the market county.
Okay, so Hayden's here, Jenna's online, Tyler, Chase is online, Sadie's online, Brayley, Lucas, Havana, Jacob, Aaron, Summer McDowell. Oh, she should? Okay. Well, she's not here yet. Okay. Hunter Montgomery. Oh, okay, yes. And John and Sarah and Devin and Samuel. Samuel, need to take your hat off. And Natalie hasn't joined yet. And Braxton and Haley Wood. Where's this at Sonic? On really, is that bad?
Yeah.
They need to shut it down and open something else.
Okay.
You know why they do that? Hey, you know why they do that?
Oh, yeah, they don't want you to break. Yeah. Eli, our crew leader, one of them was quoted. Matt is taking, Matt's gonna stay, but he's taking off the entire month. Wow. Because he's having a kid. So, he doesn't.
Why would you take up the entire month?
So he has to be there for the kid.
Yeah, to help his wife get better.
It's a freaking human.
Well, and nobody gets in any sleep, at least the first couple of weeks. So,
So me and Jalen are gonna get the same experience.
Well, now you got that.
all right, so has everybody got their workbooks out? We're gonna start with 2.3. Okay, so, yeah, those of you that are online, yeah, we're gonna start with 2.3. So let me pull it up. All right. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen, guys. All right. Okay, guys, let me get your attention. Jacob, don't be throwing stuff.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so right now, everybody be working on, it's not showing up. The 2.3. Well, we haven't gone over it. No, we didn't. No, we haven't gone over it. I have it in my notes to go over. So I will give you about 10 minutes. Let me make sure. Now, what this says, you're going to complete each geometric sequence, and then you're going to find its growth factor. Okay?
Say.
Well, what happened to my cursor?
It's right there. Uh-oh. It's broke.
Okay, let's see.
Oh, let me see the baby. Jenna. Jenna. We only see your big forehead.
Okay.
That's embarrassing. What am I looking like?
Okay. So, you need to change, so is this Natalie? Oh, that's Summer. Okay.
Why does it say Barb?
I don't know. Summer, if you would change your name to your name, can you change it? And then I'm gonna change the attendance.
That was fun.
All right, guys, y'all need to be working on 2.3 and stop all the chatter. I lost Summer again.
Barb. She probably left because she didn't want to be in class.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, yeah, but what did you say?
Oh, let me see what someone put in chat. It won't change, Mrs. Tyner. Okay. All right. Let me see.
I'm in.
Rename.
I just don't.
Okay. All right, so do you already have this done? How about you guys online? Do you already have 2.3 done?
Well, somebody said.
Okay. You're supposed to have your phones put up, Jacob. So put your phone away, okay? That was part of the procedures. And at this point, third week in school, I can start taking phones, okay? So you need to leave your phones put up. Okay. So let's look at this 2.3. Everybody with me? Okay. You shouldn't have your Chromebooks open at this point. You don't have to have them open. Okay. No. You can fill it out in your workbook since I'm here. But if you, all right. So who has number 1? What would be the next two? Yes, Lucas.
12 and 48.
Okay. So let me, 12 and 48. That's correct. Okay. So if we go on down and we talk about what's happening, what's the growth factor for letter A? What's happening each time? Right. Multiply by 2. Okay. Now, letter B, what would be the next two? 1,080 and 3,240. That's correct.
Isn't that times 30?
Okay. So the sequence, what's happening each time is, yes, multiply by 3. Now, these are geometric sequences, so you have to describe the growth factor as multiply, okay? You don't describe it as dividing, okay? So as we go in, do the next few, think about that, what it would be. You can solve it with dividing, but if you describe it, it has to be described by multiplication. So looking at letter C, what would that be? 0.2, if I can, 0.2 and 0.002. So what's happening each time?
Multiply by 10. Down to 1/2. I don't know. The 10th.
It is the 10th. You're multiplying, letter C is you're multiplying. You want to say you're dividing by 10, but you can't, like I said, you can't describe it by division. So you flip it, and remember with a fraction, the reciprocal of what you're dividing by can be stated in multiplication. So if you're dividing by 10, it's the same as multiplying by 1/10, okay? So in geometric sequences, it has to be described as multiplication, okay? How about letter D? What's happening?
Divided by 2. Or 1/2.
Multiply, right. What's the next number though?
3 and the.
Okay. All right. It's 3.
That's the wrong one.
Letter D is 3/7 and 81/7, isn't it? Okay. All right. So to describe it, okay, 7 is staying as the denominator, right? So yes, you're multiplying by 3, or you could say, oh, that didn't look good. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Let's see if it. Okay, so you multiply by 3 or 3/1. Okay, so Natalie, class actually started at 12, okay? Just FYI. I'll go ahead and change it on the attendance, but you need to log in sooner, okay?
There's 30 people right here.
3B. Let me go back. Something happened. Well, I did take attendance.
What's bridge algebra 2?
It's a class in between Algebra 2. I mean, before Algebra 2. Oh, here we go. No. No, there's some juniors in it. Okay. All right, going back to what we were doing. Okay. So letter D, you're multiplying by 3 or 3/1 because the denominator is the same thing. Whole number being multiplied is the same as saying that over 1. So just in case you wondered why the 7 is staying 7, it's being multiplied by 1. Okay, letter E. What comes next in the sequence? Okay, that's right. 3 and 1.5. So what's happening each time? You're what? Right, multiply by 1/2. Okay, now I know you want to say divide by 2, but in terms of geometric sequence, you have to say multiply. So it's the reciprocal of that, which is 1/2. All right, so everybody understand 2.3? Okay, so if you flip it over and look at the summary, okay, everybody look at the summary. This whole lesson, okay, has been about geometric sequence, okay, and we're talking about how you find a geometric sequence by multiplying. The arithmetic sequence, we found it by adding or subtracting. And it talks about that in that paragraph, that a geometric sequence is where the value of a previous term multiplied by a constant. And what's the constant? The growth rate or the common ratio, okay? What do they share to be able to change it from one number to the next in that sequence? Okay, so in this case, this example they give you, it's being multiplied by 3. Okay, now can you divide to find that common ratio? Yes, but in terms of description, when they say, how would you describe it? You have to use the word multiply. Now down here, they give you 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. That's not a geometric sequence. Okay, what kind of sequence is it?
Arithmetic.
It's arithmetic. What are we doing, Havana? We're adding by what? We're adding by 2, aren't we? Right? Can you, I mean, y'all see that, don't you?
Right, how do you get the 20 over 100?
No, I'm not to that one. It's this one right here is adding by 2.
Oh,
Okay, so this is a arithmetic sequence. It's not geometric or arithmetic. Now this one, okay, this one is not either.
and that
Okay.
multiplied by 2.
No, it's adding. It's add by 2.
You just said multiplied by 2.
I did? I'm
That's what you
sorry.
did.
Well, it's adding by 2. I'm sorry. If I said that, I should have said plus 2. The
You said something about in sequences you can't divide them.
you have to describe it by multiplication. Yes.
Maybe
In the geometric, Jacob, you're right. In the geometric, you can find it by dividing, but you can't describe it that way. You can't say the sequence, the common ratio is divide by 2. No, it's multiply by 1/2. You got to flip it and use the term multiply. Now, look at this one right here. This one, you can see has nothing in common, right? So it would be neither. And we're going to see some of those. You're going to be able to tell the difference between geometric, arithmetic, and neither. Okay? Now, finally, this one, look what's happening. 124.8, what are they doing each time? Okay, dividing by 5, or, well, how could we describe it? Multiply by 1/5. Okay? Multiply by 1/5. Now, they show it as 0.2, but that's 2/10, and 2/10 is the same as 1/5. Okay? All right. Everybody okay so far? Okay. All right, so I want to go to Google Classroom. I want you to see this short video. Let's see. Everybody paying attention? Okay. All right, let me, just a second, let me move that out of the way okay. I want to show you this video.
I'm gonna watch the video.
Okay, so this is about geometric sequences, and she's talking about explicit formulas. An explicit formula will apply to the geometric sequence. So let's see what the video has to say about that.
So let's talk about explicit formulas for geometric sequences. An explicit formula is not a recursive formula. And remember, recursive formulas require previous values to find future values, but explicit formulas do not. So let me show you an example of one. So 3 times 2 to the nth power equals a sub n is an example of an explicit formula. It tells you that the term a sub n can be created by taking 3 and multiplying it by 2 to the nth power. So if I want to find the first term in the sequence, or a sub 1, I substitute a 1 in for n, 3 times 2 to the first power, simplify, and I get my first term, which in this case is 6. And if I want to find the second term, I substitute in a 2 for n, which gives me, a 2 for n, which gives me 3 times 4, which is 12. And if I want to find the third term, I do 3 times 2 to the third power, which would be 24. And I can continue doing this and generate the sequence. Now, the benefit of an explicit formula is if I want to find the 50th term, I can just plug in a 50 and get the value of the 50th term. If I had a recursive formula only, then I'd have to know 49, then 48, and 47, 46, all the way down to the first term, which is not fun. So that's the benefit of an explicit formula. Now, the hard part of sequences is being able to write an explicit formula. So now let's try to use a very simple technique to find the explicit formula for this sequence. So first thing I have to do is check to see if it's geometric, which means I have to see if there's a common ratio. So turning a 15 into a 45 is a times 3, and a 45 into a 135 is also a times 3, and a 135 to a 405 is also a times 3. So there is indeed a common ratio, and it is 3. Now from class, you recognized that the common ratio turns into the base of an exponent, because in a geometric sequence, that repeated multiplication is rewritten or can be rewritten as an exponent. So I know, because it's geometric with the common ratio of 3, that my sequence's explicit formula has to have a 3 to the nth power in it. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to test 3 to the nth and check if it works. And if it works, yay. If not, what I'm going to do is fix it. So 3 to the nth generates the sequence 3, 9, 27, and 81. And it's not correct because I don't know where 15 and 3 are the same thing. But I can fix it. If I can first look at this term here and look at that term there and think, well, how can I turn a 3 into a 15? And I want to use an operation, and I could, of course, add 12, because 3 plus 12 is 15, but if I check plus 12 with 9, I get 21, which is not that next number. So I know it's not a plus 12. Well, another option is to multiply by 5. So if I take 3 times 5, I get 15, and then 9 times 5 gives me 45, and then 27 times 5 gives me 135, and 81 times 5 gives me 405, which means I have found the sequence by taking this 3 to the nth power and multiplying it by 5, which means the explicit formula that I need is a sub n equals 5 times 3 to the n. So the technique is very simple. You're going to take the common ratio, raise it to the nth power, see what it gives you, figure out what's wrong, and fix it. So what was wrong in this case was that it was 5 times too small, so I just had to multiply by 5. Now, if you really didn't like that process, there's a formula you can use that appears in just about every textbook and every web page about geometric sequences. And here's the formula. It says a sub n equals a sub 1 times r to the n minus 1. Now I'm going to show you where this formula comes from. So first off, we know r is going to be the common ratio, and we know a sub 1 is the first term. So if I think about a geometric sequence, of course it starts with its first term. Now to find the next term, remember, you have to multiply by the common ratio, or r. So you get a sub 1 r. And to find the next term, you have to multiply by r again, so you get a sub 1 r squared, or r times r, which is r squared. And then to find the next term, I multiply by r again, and I get a sub 1 times r to the third power, and then I get a sub 1 r to the fourth power for the next one. Now, if I look at which terms I generated, this was the first term, that was the second term, that was the third term, that was the fourth term, and that was the fifth term. And I think about, well, remember, an explicit formula is the formula that relates the number of the term to the actual value of the term. And 2 became a first power, 3 became a second power, 4 became a third power. So this exponent is actually 1 less than the term number, which is why this is n minus 1. So if we look at this sequence, I see the signs are alternating. So that means that the common ratio is going to be negative. And what turns a 4 into a negative 12? Well, that's a multiplication of negative 3. So my common ratio is now negative 3. I know it has to be negative 3 to the nth power, or it has to have negative 3 to the nth power. Notice how I wrote that in parentheses. It has to be in parentheses if the signs are going to alternate. So I'm going to test this. So this one generates negative 3, 9, negative 27, positive 81, dot, dot, dot. So now let's look at this sequence and see what's wrong. Well, there are a lot of things wrong. First, this one starts negative, that one starts positive. So let's fix that. How can I fix the sign difference? Well, I can just multiply this sequence by negative 1, and what that's going to do is alternate the signs. So now I have a sequence that has the correct signs, but these numbers are not the same. A 3 is not a 4. So how can I turn a 3 into a 4? Well, I can add 1, but that's not going to work with the very next term. So now I have to figure out what I can multiply by. And there are 2 ways that you can do this. One way is just to figure out what to multiply 3 by to get 4, which is 4/3. But if you're really uncomfortable with fractions, you can take this in 2 steps, because I can always divide this whole thing by 3 to make that a 1. So if I divide this sequence by 3, I get a 1, a negative 3, a 9, and then a negative 27. And now it's really easy to turn a 1 into a 4, right? All I have to do is multiply it by 4. So if I take this and I multiply it by 4, and I'm going to write that as negative 4 times negative 3 to the n over 3, and I test it, I'm going to get this sequence multiplied by 4 for negative 12, 36, negative 108. Now you could have done this in a single step if you recognized right here that you had to multiply it by negative 4/3, but number of steps doesn't matter. What matters is, can you figure out the correct formula?
Okay. So she explained basically how you can get a formula with the geometric sequence. If I always have trouble getting out of that. All right. Does anybody have questions? All right. So first thing we're going to do is the cool down. So you'll need your Chromebooks to find it in Google Classroom. Okay.
I think Edwin,
So yes, sir. Yes. All right. All right. So right now, take the next 15 minutes to do the cool down. Okay. You can. If you'd rather do it on paper and turn it in, that's fine too. Yeah. If you'd rather do it on paper and turn it in, that's fine too.
what time do we leave here?
1:30, yes. 1:30.
How do we do this?
Well, it says explain.
No, like, how do we answer? Just open a Google Doc.
Yes, you should be able to make a copy of it. I gave you access.
We can use Canvas. We can use Canvas.
and just turned it in? Well, yeah.
Whoa, that's a lot. My Chromebook just said I had 11 minutes left, now it's saying I have 14. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Bro, what the?
Okay, so you guys online, are y'all working on the cool down? Yes? Okay. All right, everybody should be working on the cool down.
Yeah, what the heck is happening?
Uh-oh.
This is what happens when you open the thing.
Okay,
Maybe if I close it and open it.
or, download it and pull it up in Cami? I don't know. But you should be able,
They won't even let you go. Now it's saying I have 19. Never mind. Four of us open. You right?
now, if you get done with the cool down, some of you have not done the ed puzzle or the quiz. Okay?
The quiz.
Yeah, there's a quiz on there.
That's a long quiz. How many questions? 4, but they have different parts.
Yeah.
Maybe we can't make it. This is a picture.
What, the PDF for the cool down?
Yeah.
Just go to open and stay open with docs.
Okay.
Let me see, someone I think,
Can you look and see if I did it? Definitely.
yeah, I lost, someone logged out. Let's see.
See.
Uh, all right. So you need, okay, let me see. Get out of that, let me pull it back up. Okay. All right, so on the quiz, 4 of you turned it in. So here's the 16 that need to do it. Let's see, who turned it in? Jenna, Sadie, Summer, and Samuel turned it in. Okay, so when you get the cool down done, you need to do the quiz.
Have I done? Oh, have I done?
So when you get,
Post these?
last week,
Oh, what day?
Tuesday, I think.
We weren't, I don't think we were in here. Yeah,
And-
we weren't in here.
I know, but I had it posted out, like, had it due by Friday. Okay, so on the ed puzzle, Lucas and Samuel have turned it in. okay?
Wait, so do we do the Eddie Elastic thing? Or what are we-
Yes, that's the quiz.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to do the quiz and the ed puzzle, okay?
Makes you watch all the way through the video. The questions are the first like 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Oh, wait.
but it's a good video about sequences. So,
Where's that at?
ed puzzle,
What we're doing.
I did not do that.
okay, so there's a quiz, ed puzzle. Okay, you're gonna do those two things. You need to get the cool down turned in. And then once you get that accomplished, work on the practice problems for lesson 2. Okay, so those of you that are online, okay, there's the ed puzzle on Google Classroom. The quiz is on Google Classroom. Okay, you need to do both of those. Make sure you get the cool down turned in, okay? And then start on, after you do those 3 things, then start on lesson 2 practice, okay? Everybody understand? Yep, okay. All right, so I'll keep the Zoom open so you can chat if you need help, all right? Don't worry if you feel like the quiz is really hard. I'm gonna look at what everyone does and make a determine on the scores that way. If everybody misses the same questions, over and over again, then I will look at that. So just do the best you can. It is for a grade, but
For participation.
it is for a grade. Oh, Sadie, none of your stuff is loading? Okay, what you might do is get out of it and refresh, okay?
What do you mean it won't change? It says so and don't.
I changed it.
Oh.
Try.
Looks like you were
Is Barb your mom's name or something?
Don't worry about it. If y'all did it on paper, just,
Oh my god. Can I go after her?
yes. All right, so guys, on the cool down, y'all need to be working here in class and, okay, on the cool down. Well, that's what we just saw.
I know I did it on here, I just forgot how to do it.
It's okay, Lucas. The quiz, like I said, just do the best you can with it. And I may have to wait and reassign it again, but just type what you know, see what you can do with it. Well, this quiz is not going to hurt your grade, okay? I realize that this quiz has a lot on it, so I'm going to look at what you did right and what you did incorrectly before I assess the grades. Okay, so you guys online, what you'll need to do is click on the link, and then at the top, it says open with.
How many questions are there on this?
See if it'll open as a Google Doc. That way.
4 questions? Right.
There's several parts to it.
Just grab the pattern.
Did it work that way, Sadie?
goes up, no, it goes up 3 times 7.
It's plus.
But it's okay.
Okay, y'all tried to do it on your own. Are you girls getting on? Are y'all getting it? The cool down? Okay. Sadie, did yours load? Yes. Sadie may be frozen.
Yeah, I said he was frozen in second period. Like I said, she was really bad with that.
She does. Oh. Yeah, she's definitely frozen.
She was frozen. Yeah, there she goes. Bye, Sadie.
She's trying to count.
No, he's not. She just said,
Dang gum.
there you go. Yeah. Let's see what we can do.
Other than gum.
All right, so Samuel, but yeah, you can't have your hat on, but you can't walk around the hallway with it on either. You're not having a bad hair day.
I've just been used to working all summer. That's all I did was work in the sun. So that's all I had is my hat on. So
Well,
I'm just used to wearing it.
I understand, but you have nice curly hair, so it's okay. You gotta do, you know,
Part, like, does it have to, we put the only 5 numbers, does it have to go at the top?
yeah.
Yes, it's definitely.
If it's plus 2 and the opposite, would it be negative 1/2 or plus 1/2?
Okay, if it's +2, okay, the opposite would be -2. But if it's divide by 2, the opposite would be multiplied by 1/2, wouldn't it? Okay, let's see.
What's 21?
Yes.
Everybody's called those 2 parts.
away from them.
Okay. Okay. All right.
How do you do recursive?
The 3-step.
So like, it's the one where you like multiply times whatever on that.
You have to fix it to figure out the explicit. Is that what you're talking about?
Probably recursive formula.
Oh, the recursive is where it applies to the previous term. Okay. How did you go from the previous term to the next term? So it's more or less the add or subtract. Recursive is more or less add or subtract.
And there's an explicit where you have the
Yes.
We start fishing, I think that's four, all the start with more water.
All right, so everybody's working on the assignments that,
Okay, but like on this one, or on the one on the video that you showed us,
uh-huh,
it was positive and negative. Can it just be like positive?
yes. In multiplication, she was showing it both because the sequence was given as negative and she changed it to where every other number was the right sign. But it could be, yes, it could be positive.
My phone just died. I was almost done with that quiz. I'm gonna have to start a little more. Huh? Okay, good. Bro. Have to use Google Classroom on my phone. Can I use Google Classroom on my phone? Finish the quiz?
Yeah. You don't have a charger?
No. No.
Anybody got a charger?
No.
Jacob, you need to plug your Chromebook in. So put your phone up. All right, so everyone should be, we gotta finish the cool down, do the quiz, do the ed puzzle, and then move on to,
Oh, no. First I'll have a little thing.
yes, it does.
Wait, do you have the screen saver? That's the
Small one. It's actually.
Is anybody in here having any issues with your Chromebook? No,
Oh, sorry.
I wasn't earlier, but.
not now?
Sorry.
Okay. Okay, all right.
Hey, can I go with what comes on? Let's see how much I'll pay. Now my Chromebook ain't coming on. Now I gotta move it.
So. Automatically be partial. That's around. What? Wow. Right.
Yeah.
We actually.
Everybody's, everybody's still working?
Yeah. I just got back in. Does it give you your score? Yeah, click submit. And it just gives you a code. It gives me a chance. It gives me a chance to think. Oh my gosh. How'd I get that wrong? Oh, I got these two wrong. What is it? Oh, how's that wrong?
Anybody having any trouble? Yes?
Why is this video
I
15
can't
minutes
figure
long?
out the explicit. I don't know.
Why did it?
On the quiz?
21.
That's probably the one that everybody's missed, so it's okay. Don't panic. Like I said, the quiz, had more to the questions than I realized, so I'm gonna have to look at it. Huh?
The cool down.
It has fours all over it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, you gotta open it up in Google Docs.
that's weird.
Oh, here we go.
I'm trying to wrap my head around it. I'm like, it's fours here.
I thought it was you, it was like four that they wanted to see things.
In all honesty, if I was you, I think it was me as well.
It's always been.
Just stop talking.
Oh, let's see.
What did I say? All I heard was,
Yes.
Okay, I'm done.
What do I gotta do? Breakfast, right? And then that one more.
Yes.
You should have sit there and beat it.
You only two questions, you gotta sit there 15 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, so guys, we can end the Zoom and y'all can just email me your questions, okay? So that since y'all are having trouble, some of you with your internet, so just keep working, okay? All right.